Avatar: The Way of Water has already grossed a record-breaking $2 billion at the box office. And if you're watching this video, it may already be the first movie to cross the $3 billion mark. And that's after a pandemic that forced many movie theaters into bankruptcy. For James Cameron, the mastermind behind the Avatar franchise, box office records are nothing new. He has a long list of successful blockbusters to his credit. He created the Terminator and thereby made Arnold Schwarzenegger a film legend. And what many don't know, he also wrote the script for Rambo 2 at the same time, making Sylvester Stallone a big action star. And can you imagine the 80s without this cute couple? Cameron is more than just a filmmaker. With his movies, he creates new experiences. And he's also an inventor and explorer. And this spirit of adventure is the reason for the creation of Titanic and also Avatar. But more on that later. Welcome to the inspiring world of James Cameron. Here are 5 innovation mindsets that set Cameron apart from other directors. Number 1. He goes his own way. Cameron's start in the film business was unique from the beginning. Most people think you have to study film to become a director, but innovators don't believe you need a formal training for everything you do.
I was working as a truck driver. On the weekends, I'd drive down to USC. I lived in Los Angeles.
Right.
I lived in Orange County at the time.
A truck driver?
Yeah, I was a truck driver.
Right.
I'd drive down to USC. I'd go in, and for the cost of the Xeroxing, I would Xerox all these like doctoral dissertations on optical printing and film stock, film emulsions, and all that stuff. Build up these big binders of like how everything was done. I was like a total gearhead. So I gave myself like a full college education for about $120.
What innovators have at their core is the belief that they can change their environment. They are not concerned with what is there, but are concerned with what could be. His motivation for going into the movie business was not simply to tell stories. His goal was to make as big a leap in the history of film as Kubrick or Lucas did before him.
I want to blow people away with something they've never seen before.
As a result, his films The Abyss, Terminator 2, Judgment Day, Titanic and Avatar showed things never seen before on a screen. He pioneered digital effects for his 1989 film The Abyss. And he was already filming Terminator 2 in 3D with 600-pound heavy IMAX cameras, and this was in the year 1991. For the movie Avatar, he co-developed the Fusion camera, a much lighter 3D camera. His team also developed facial performance capture for the movie.
We came up with the idea of facial performance capture using a camera on a boom, a single camera.
For each of his films, technology had to be developed first that didn't exist before. Second, he follows his curiosity wherever it takes him. Cameron has had an extreme curiosity for nature, technology, science, but also science fiction since his childhood. Especially his love for water is particularly striking.
I've spent about 3,000 hours underwater, and 500 hours of that was in submersibles.
In an unexpected way, this love for water has led him to make the most successful films of all time. It all started with The Abyss, when he first combined his love for the deep sea and filmmaking. While shooting The Abyss, he meets the explorer Dr. Robert Ballard. This Dr. Ballard is not just any deep sea explorer. He is the discoverer of the wreck of the Titanic. The encounter causes a wild imagination. Cameron wants to see the wreck of the Titanic himself with his own eyes. But how to finance such an insane plan? By landing one of the most ingenious coups in film history, with a result he probably hadn't imagined for himself. Cameron meets with producers from the film studio 20th Century Fox.
You know, I went in and pitched it to the studio as Romeo and Juliet on a ship. It's going to be this epic romance, passionate film. Secretly, what I wanted to do was I wanted to dive to the real wreck of Titanic, and that's why I made the movie.
The producers say yes, since at this point Cameron is still riding the wave of success from Terminator 2. But shooting Titanic, of course, isn't easy. Huge sets have to be built in giant water tanks. The film ends up costing twice as much as originally planned. But the effort pays off. Titanic becomes the most successful movie of all time. After this success, he continues to follow his passion for expeditions and hangs up his job as a director for a while. The whole world expects him to make the next big blockbuster, but Cameron becomes a deep-sea explorer himself and makes more documentaries instead. Among other things, he dives to the Titanic again. This time he dives through the corridors of the Titanic with an underwater drone, a so-called remotely operated vehicle, and has an inspiring experience. If you've enjoyed this video to this point, please show some love by clicking the like button, and consider subscribing to the channel if you want to learn more about the psychology of innovation. But Cameron doesn't just widely follow every topic that interests him. Third, he has a purpose that is more important than all the money in the world. For several years now, he has been eating a purely plant-based diet. He has also invested in meat replacement companies and is involved in many organizations to help preserve our planet. But Hollywood hates it when people try to put their political agenda into a movie. The famous old quote applies: if you have a message, send it by Western Union. But Cameron's work always had one goal: to warn people of a possible Armageddon. Sometimes more explicitly, sometimes more subtle. In the Terminator series, the message is very clear. In that story, a nuclear world war will end humanity's dominance on Earth and artificial intelligence will take over. Titanic is primarily a disaster movie with a love story, but also a parable for our technology-loving society that doesn't realize it is already doomed. Right up to the end, everyone carries on, as if things aren't going to get that bad. And Avatar is very clearly a critique of imperialism and the exploitation of nature. Turning this theme into a blockbuster wasn't easy, even for Cameron. Then of course, the movie studio wanted Cameron to make the movie less political.
The request was, is there a way to cut down on this sort of, hippie tree hugging stuff?
Yes,
I think was the exact quote.
Is that what they said?
Sure, yeah, absolutely. I mean, look, it's a legitimate concern, but that's why I wanted to make the film in the first place. That was the fundamental driver.
But Cameron prevails in the end and makes the most expensive tree-hugging movie ever. Fourth, he thinks extremely long-term and approaches everything step by step. True innovation requires long-term thinking. If you want to learn more about long-term thinking, I recommend to you this video about Jeff Bezos and his gradatim ferociter mindset. Avatar was created over a period of more than 30 years. He had his first inspiration for Avatar as a young college student.
Well, I'd say the very first seed of Avatar was a dream I had when I was in college. I was 19, and I had a dream about an amazing forest that was bioluminescent. And I got up afterwards. I was so inspired by the dream, I started sketching it in oil pastel, colored pencils, and so on. And years later, I started to incorporate that concept into a story.
Then in the early 90s, Cameron founded Digital Domain, a special effects company that would drive the digitization of film. But Cameron is not satisfied with the progress they make. Therefore, he's writing a story called Avatar, which is supposed to take full advantage of the new digital possibilities. But the technology in the mid-90s is not yet mature enough. All the CG experts think he must have lost his mind, as a completely digital, photorealistic world is not yet feasible. So he puts the project on the shelf again. It wasn't until the mid-2000s, inspired by films like King Kong and Lord of the Rings, that took motion capture to the next level, that he was convinced he could make Avatar the way he envisioned it. To convince the studio to make the film, he didn't make a pitch, but did what innovators do. He built a prototype.
So we developed a scene that was about I think it was like a minute and a half long. We showed it to the studio. It wasn't our final cast, it wasn't our final script, it was just an example scene. We learned so much from doing that about how it really works to do this crazy stuff.
The fifth and final innovation mindset that sets Cameron apart from other directors is his love for challenges. I mentioned earlier that he loves the ocean, but James Cameron doesn't just make nice little dives. He holds the world record for the deepest dive in a single-person submersible to the deepest place in the Mariana Trench. There he was alone, 11 kilometers deep under the sea, and discovered, among other things, a new species of sea cucumber. Yummy sea cucumbers. Cameron always loved challenges. When he wrote the script for the Terminator in the early 80s, he could have just sold it for a lot of money and remained a screenwriter and production designer. But he had bigger ambitions. He wanted to become a director, even though he had never learned this profession. That's why he sold the script of Terminator for $1, but with the condition of being allowed to direct the movie. No, James Cameron is more than just a filmmaker. He is an innovator. He goes his own way. He follows his curiosity. He has a purpose. He thinks long-term, and he loves the challenge. The stories he tells in his films are very classic. One could almost say unoriginal. But the way he brings them to the screen, the technical solutions he develops for them, the influence he brings in, that's unique. He creates experiences that advance the medium of cinema. If you like this video, please click the like button. If you want to learn more about the psychology of innovation, then subscribe to this channel and click the notification bell. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the next video.